Have you ever noticed how the loudest people in the room are rarely the most powerful? How those who talk constantly often seem desperate, not dominant? And how, in contrast, there are individuals who hardly speak, who sit back in stillness, observing quietly, and yet everyone feels their presence? This isn't a coincidence. This is power. Real, unsettling, dangerous power. And it comes not from speech, but from silence. Silence, in a world addicted to noise, is rebellion. It is resistance. It is a weapon of the strong. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this. He spoke often of the will to power, not as domination over others, but as mastery over oneself. And silence is one of the most potent manifestations of that mastery, because to remain silent when provoked, when challenged, when expected to respond, requires immense inner strength. It demands self-control, and most people don't have that. Think about the people who react to everything, who rush to defend themselves at the slightest criticism, who constantly explain, justify, argue, plead, apologize. These people are not in control. They are being controlled. Their emotions are puppets, their behavior predictable. They are easy to manipulate because they cannot sit with discomfort. They must speak. They must be heard. But the one who chooses silence in those moments, that person is dangerous. Because silence is not emptiness, it is space. And in that space, others project their fears, their insecurities, their fantasies. Silence makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to fill the void, to imagine what you are thinking, what you are planning. And in that ambiguity, you gain power. You become unreadable, ungraspable. You transcend the game. Nietzsche once wrote, "The greatest events, they are not our loudest, but our stillest hours." That line alone reveals everything you need to know about the hidden power of silence. It is in those stillest hours, those moments of internal solitude, that we find our truest self, not the one shaped by external opinions, not the one seeking approval, but the raw, primal self that is willing to stand alone. And standing alone is where all real transformation begins. When you speak less, you observe more. You start noticing things, subtleties in behavior, shifts in tone, micro-expressions. You see patterns others miss. You pick up on hypocrisy, contradiction, weakness, and you store it, quietly. You stop reacting and start understanding. While others waste energy proving a point, you gather data. While they argue, you study. And when you finally choose to speak, if you speak, it will not be out of impulse, but with precision. And that makes your words cut deeper. Silence is also a mirror. When you withhold speech, people reveal themselves. They talk more, trying to fill the awkwardness. They confess, overshare, expose their vulnerabilities without realizing. In their rush to avoid silence, they hand you their truth, and truth is power. Now think about how society treats silence. It pathologizes it. Quiet people are labeled as shy, weak, antisocial. We teach children to speak up, to make their voice heard. But no one teaches the discipline of listening. No one teaches how to withhold. And why would they? A silent mind cannot be easily influenced. A silent person cannot be easily controlled. A man who has mastered his silence is a man who has mastered himself, and that threatens every system built on conformity. Nietzsche believed in the Übermensch, the higher man, the one who creates his own values and lives beyond the herd. Silence is one of the tools of the Übermensch. It separates him from the masses. Because the crowd needs noise, it needs consensus, gossip, performance. But the higher man needs none of that. He speaks when necessary, and never to be understood. He understands that silence is not just absence, it is presence. And the right kind of silence can dominate a room more than any speech. There's also something deeply spiritual about silence. but not in the traditional sense. It's not about peace or enlightenment. It's about power and individuation. When you are silent, you are forced to confront yourself. All your impulses, fears, memories, desires, they rise to the surface. You see what you've been running from, and in that confrontation, you either collapse or evolve. That's why most people hate silence. It's not just awkward, it's terrifying. It reveals what's underneath. And when you start practicing silence, not just external, but internal, when you stop the compulsive thoughts, the inner monologue, the rehearsed responses, you begin to notice how much noise you've been carrying, and you realize how much of your life was just a reaction to that noise. The moment you understand this, you become untouchable. No insult rattles you, no compliment seduces you, no silence threatens you. You stop needing validation. You stop fearing rejection, because you are rooted in something deeper than words. You are no longer trying to be understood. You are simply being. And that unnerves people, because they can't figure you out. They can't predict you. They can't control you. And maybe that's the point. Silence is also about time. It slows everything down. It gives you space to think, to process, to strategize. While others rush into decisions, you wait. You watch. And when you move, it's with force. Because you've seen the full board while they were distracted by their own voice. Nietzsche was right. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Silence helps you find that why. It strips away the noise, the illusions, the borrowed beliefs. It brings you back to your own will. And from there, everything becomes clear. So next time you feel the urge to speak, pause. Let the silence stretch. Let it breathe. Let others squirm. Let them reveal themselves. Let them underestimate you. And in that stillness, you will find a power that cannot be faked. A power that does not shout. A power that simply is. This is not about being passive. It's about being precise. It's not about withdrawing from life. It's about entering it with your eyes open, your mind sharp, your will intact. Silence is not weakness. It is a form of dominance that does not beg to be seen. It commands without noise. It rules without motion. And in a world that is always screaming, he who learns to be silent becomes a god.